It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Sabrina Zainal. The headlines. Permission for interstate travel expected to be finalized in 3 weeks, says Hishamuddin. And COVID-19 self-test kit price to be reduced before school session begins. Good morning. We begin with this story. Malaysia will play a more prominent role and participate actively in health diplomacy in order to not only end the COVID-19 pandemic, but also on other global health-related issues. Speaking in his inaugural speech at the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly via a pre-recorded video on Saturday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob called for all nations to work together under the World Family Spirit to expand the public health capacity of nations and regard it as a global public good rather than the exclusive domain of individual nations.
To call for us to work together in the spirit of a world family to address the deep-rooted challenges of inequality, political instability, and global governance. Last year, the international community came together with a pledge to fight COVID-19 hand in hand. With our unified commitment, with the aggressive rollout of vaccine, and with the sharing and adoption of best practices, we should have been on our way to recovery. Sadly, the reality today is that we are far from winning the war against this deadly virus. Our relief that vaccines were developed in record time was quickly followed by distress at its discriminatory rollout. While most vaccine-producing nations, as well as those that have the financial means, have achieved some measure of success, the majority of the world's population, mainly from the middle income and least developed countries, remain unvaccinated.
With the theme, The World is a Family, Datuk Seri Ismail also highlighted the country's firm stand on political and humanitarian issues, including those of Palestine and Rohingya, and Malaysia's concerns over developments in Afghanistan. He has also reaffirmed, among others, the reform of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) and the global ceasefire, as well as supporting the total elimination of nuclear weapons.
The Occupied Palestinian Territory, OPT, Malaysia is appalled by the deaths of many Palestinian civilians, including women and children, following the brutal attacks by Israel in May this year. We strongly condemn repeated violations and aggressions by Israeli forces and settlers against Palestinian worshippers in Al-Aqsa Mosque. The targeted aggression against worshippers is indeed contemptuous to all Muslims or for any peace-loving religion. In fact, let us be truly frank about what is happening in the OPT. The systematic oppression of Palestinians over many years through discriminatory policies, denial of basic civil rights, imposition of harsh conditions, large-scale land confiscation, and inhumane acts committed against them is tantamount to the crime of apartheid. Yes, Mr. President, apartheid still exists in this world, and most of us are just turning a blind eye to this. Malaysia stresses again that Israel must be held responsible and accountable for all its wrongdoing, including its flagrant violations of international law.
The much-awaited permission for interstate travel is expected to be finalized and announced in 3 weeks' time after the country has hit its target of fully vaccinating 90% of the adult population against COVID-19. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Isyamuddin Tun Hussein said on Saturday that several measures would be taken to speed up the vaccination rate among adults.
Apa perancangan yang telah pun kita lakukan bersama-sama dengan KKM, itu saya harap kita dapat jayakan dalam 3 minggu ni. Jadi sebelum ianya diumumkan, banyak perkara-perkara yang perlu kita fikirkan dari segi SOP, tanggungjawab, agensi-agensi dan sebagainya.
Datuk Seri Hishamuddin also said that the Malaysian Armed Forces, MAF, had been directed to step up its cooperation with the Health Ministry to ensure that the people could complete their vaccination soon in order to meet the 90% target. Among the immediate steps to be taken by the MAF is to deploy more combat medic vaccination teams to remote areas, apart from expanding the drive-through vaccination program implemented by the Defence Ministry for the public. He also said the interstate SOP will be scrutinized at the Special Committee on Pandemic Management meeting chaired by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob next week. Last week, the Prime Minister announced that interstate travel would be allowed once the vaccination rate in the country reaches 90%. Despite the relaxation, Datuk Seri Hishamuddin stressed the importance for the public to continue adhering to the SOP to curb the spread of COVID-19. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria visited the Battersea Power Station in London to witness the momentous progress being made on the Malaysia-owned regeneration project. Their Majesties also visited the Malaysia Square, which is still under construction. It was the first time that the Malaysian-themed public space was officially unveiled. The Battersea inaugural visit is one of the programs in conjunction with Their Majesty's special visit to the United Kingdom for 10 days starting September 17th. Haliza Hashim reports from London.
Their Majesty's arrival was received by the management team of Battersea Project Holding Company and representatives of Pemodalan Nasional Berhad (PNB), Employees Provident Fund (EPF), Sam Dabi Property and SP Setia Berhad. Also present was Malaysian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Zakri Jaafar. The restoration works of the Battersea Power Station iconic buildings are nearing completion. Once fully open to the public next year, it will be one of the most exciting retail and leisure destinations in London. Malaysia Square, a 6,600 square feet of public space, consists of performance and exhibition area as well as restaurants, is scheduled to be completed next year.
Malaysia Square is a space which we hope will embody what we call the spirit of Malaysia. Malaysia is this wonderful canvas of different cultures, different philosophies, different people. And so this Malaysia Square for us, we hope will be a hodgepodge where we will bring in culture from Malaysia, food, entertainment, the arts that can be displayed down here, and it will be showcased to a globe. London is a global city.
It's still in the late stages of construction, so until now it hasn't really been something which we could show people. So yes, the King and Queen of Malaysia are the first people to see pretty much the finished project. The King and Queen here of the country that have made it all happen. Without Malaysia, there would be none of this development. Is a truly special moment. We've had a wonderful week with the Northern Line extension opening on Monday, but I think this is the highlight of this week and indeed this year. It's fantastic. We're really honoured.
During the 2-hour visit, Their Majesties will brief on the latest development of the property project valued over 50 billion ringgit. Their Majesties also spent time inspecting the housing phase that has been completed and unveil a memorial plaque to commemorate their visit to the project. An underground station with Northern Line extension, which was open to the public this week, will significantly enhance the connectivity to Battersea Power Station. It would be one of the top destinations in London and could attract up to 40 million visitors a year.
Today's special visit focused on Malaysia Square, which will lend dignity to this majestic development. It promotes Malaysia's identity and heritage. It celebrates the best of East-West collaboration. Haliza Hashim, TV3, London.
The Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar, has expressed hope that the federal government would immediately review the strict conditions for the Malaysia My Second Home MHEM2H program, which were set recently. He raised the issue during an audience with Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on Saturday. In a statement released on the Johor ruler's official Facebook page, Sultan Ibrahim said Johor was a key destination for foreign investors and the state was among the main contributors to Malaysia's economic growth. He highlighted that Johor is not only neighbouring Singapore, but the MM2H program is a contributing factor to the state's economic strength. He urged the government to review its strict conditions and maintain the old conditions by making some improvements so that it can provide a positive balance, especially in terms of economic growth. Sultan Ibrahim also discussed various other matters related to Johor's progress in the hour-long meeting with the Prime Minister at Istana Pasir Pelangi, Johor Bahru, which was also attended by Johor Menteri Besar Datuk Hasni Muhammad. This was Datuk Seri Ismail's first official visit to the Johor Palace after taking oath as the 9th Prime Minister on August 21st. After the meeting, the Prime Minister attended a state development briefing and met several community leaders, both held closed door at a hotel in Johor Bahru. The price of the COVID-19 self-test kit will be reduced by the end of this month to make it more affordable for parents to carry out screening tests before their children start the school session on October 3rd. Deputy Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Rosul Wahid on Saturday said the latest price of the self-test kit is expected to be announced soon.
Nanti kita akan pastikan ia turun. Sampai itu kita juga membenarkan bukan saja premis kesihatan yang jual RTK. Kita buka kepada premis lain yang berwibawa tapi mendaftar dengan kita. Contohnya supermarket, minimarket.
Datuk Rosul added that this move will make it easier for the people because not only is the self-test kit price cheaper, but it is also easily available. Although the price reduction has not been finalized yet, he said the ministry will ensure the amount will not burden the people compared to the current price. The Hulu Terengganu Member of Parliament also revealed that the ministry had a meeting with representatives of several pharmaceutical operators associations and they agreed to reduce the price as recommended by the government. Previously, the ministry set the maximum retail price for each set of COVID-19 self-test kit at 19 ringgit 90 sen, while the wholesale price was fixed at 16 ringgit starting from September 5th. Restricting the issuance of Malaysian driving license LMM and motor vehicle license LKM to senior citizens aged 70 and older should only be a last resort. Transport Minister Datuk Seri Wee Ka Siong said on Saturday that a broader and more holistic angle should be considered instead of only the age factor.
Any related policy change to the LMM and LKM must be handled with a systematic, evidence-based approach and treated with foresight. Simply refusing a driver the means to drive on the basis of their age and based on isolated or anecdotal evidence is discriminatory.
In a video posted on his Facebook page, Datuk Seri Wee stressed that such a move is only required once a person has taken a recognized test and proven to be unfit to drive. Responding to reports on the proposal to restrict the issuance of driving licenses to aging drivers, he also stated that the suggestion could potentially lead to a scenario where a senior citizen simply circumvents this rule. Such a plan must also consider mobility and socio-economic factors, such as the need to use a car to earn an income or for visits to the clinic. It would also leave many individuals that rely on motorcycles, especially those in rural areas, without any mode of personal transport. Datuk Sri Wee added that his ministry was committed to holistically develop and improve policies that promote and inculcate road safety for all road users and pedestrians through a combination of education, enforcement and advocacy. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police IGP Datuk Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani on Saturday said the proposal to limit the issuing of driving licenses to senior citizens has not yet been discussed in detail. He said in a statement the call made by Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department JSPT Director Datuk Azizman Alias was his personal suggestion at the department level. The top cop added that any introduction of new methods would only be implemented after undergoing the study process, as well as being decided by all interested parties. On Friday, Dato' Azizman proposed for the government to limit the issuing of driving licenses to senior citizens as their health condition could be a factor that contribute to road accidents. He was also reported as saying that senior citizens should undergo health checkups, as well as getting a doctor's letter earlier to confirm they are fit to drive. Still to come, PTPTN offers 35 million ringgit loan for IPTA students. Stay with us.
Kalau semua ejen dah pakai iris, mata perlukan saya lagi ke?
Semua rimau aku serang, aku masih boleh tendang. Kalau nampak jangan jengang, kalau kacau benang kami nanti dengar gendang perang. Lepas lawan yang di sini lawan yang seberang. Kita jaga kita.
Welcome back to Nightline. The National Higher Education Fund Corporation PTPTN has announced on Saturday that it will offer over 35 million ringgit worth of loan advance payment WPP to public higher learning institutions or IPTA students in the October intake. The funds will benefit 23,487 students who will pursue their bachelor's degree at public universities. PTPTN in a statement said the allocation of 1,500 for each student is to bear part of their expenses as they prepare to enter the IPTA. This is also to ensure that no student fails to enter higher learning institutions due to financial hardship. It said the WPP is given to Malaysian students who have agreed to accept the loan advance payment when they applied for admission to higher learning institutions via UPU Online or the IPTA. Their parents or guardians must be the Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat BPR recipients and they fulfill the criteria fixed by PTPTN. The WPP would be valid for 2 months from September 24th until November 23rd, and students can cash out the money at any Bank Islam branches nationwide from September 24th by presenting their WPP offer letter and their MyCard. The Selangor state government is targeting to focus on the aerospace and aviation industries this year in an effort to empower the state's post-COVID-19 pandemic recovery plan, as well as retain and attract new investors. Selangor State Executive Councillor for Industry and Trade, Datuk Teng Chang Kim, said the state government will also focus on the inaugural Selangor Aviation Show 2021 and the Selangor International Business Summit, both scheduled to be held in November this year in order to position the state as a regional hub for both industries.
Yes, it has been hit hard for the past 1.5 years, but this is time to pick up. because slowly the international borders are opening up, and especially that in the business aviation and general aviations, this is the part that we are going to develop, and these sectors is actually the least hit during the pandemic,
right.
And it has a very potential future for us to develop. The world standing, for example.
Speaking on TV3's weekly business flagship program Money Matters on Saturday, he added Selangor has the potential to aggressively attract investors, as over 62% of aerospace-related firms are located in the state. The state also has a conducive ecosystem as well as logistics and houses over 200 aerospace and aviation companies.
Selangor, we are quite blessed. There are many factors that make Selangor so important for the investors. For example, firstly, our locations. Because of the strategic locations, it is along the major shipping routes, and also is a major city for the Road and Belt or Belt and Road Initiative. We have been able to maintain the FDI and the DDI for year 2020. We have 18.4 billion ringgit of approved projects, which is almost the same compared to the pre-COVID situations. And for this year, for the first half of 2021, we have managed to obtain 13.3 billion ringgit of investment, which now has 6 important events. Firstly, we continue with the 7th Selangor International Expo on F&B. We have our Selangor ASEAN Business Conference. We have Selangor Smart City and Digital Economy Convention. And then we have R&D and innovation exhibitions. This is the second one. Then later on, we expand it to another 2 programs. In year 2020, we were supposed to have a physical shows, our 6th SIBS. But because of the pandemic, because of MCO, we can't do anything. So what we have done was that we shift everything online. For our exhibition, we have created a special platform. So exhibition will held online.
Merkel makes final push for a successor in Germany's historic election. This and more from the Foreign Front when we return.
Kalau semua ejen dah pakai Iris, Mata perlukan saya lagi ke?
Semua rimau aku serang, aku masih boleh tendang. Kalau nampak jangan-jangan, kalau kacau pendang kami nanti dengar gendang perang. Lepas lawan yang di sini, lawan yang sebelah. Kita jaga kita.
We're back with foreign news. It appears a 3-year diplomatic row between China and Canada is coming to an end after the release of 2 Canadians held in China and a Chinese tech executive in Canada. The diplomatic crisis ended after Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou struck a deferred prosecution agreement with the U.S. Meng was returning to Shenzhen from Vancouver as the 2 Canadians, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, were released from prison on Saturday. Former diplomat Kovrig and businessman Spavor had been held in China since late 2018. They were arrested on espionage charges in China shortly after the arrest of the Huawei executive on a U.S. warrant related to the company's business dealings in Iran. However, China has consistently denied that the cases were in any way connected, while both men had maintained their innocence throughout. Earlier Friday, the United States Department of Justice and Meng reached an agreement to defer prosecution of U.S. charges against her until late 2022, after which point the charges could be dropped. Before her release, Meng, the daughter of Ren Zhengfei, the billionaire founder of Chinese telecoms giant Huawei, admitted misleading U.S. investigators about Huawei's business dealings in Iran. She spent 3 years under house arrest in Canada while fighting extradition to the United States. German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Saturday urged Germans to give her would-be successor, Armin Laschet, the vote to shape Germany's future in a last-ditch push to shore up his campaign 24 hours before Germans vote. Now, Laschet, age 60, has been trailing his Social Democrat challenger Olaf Scholz in the race for the chancellery, although final polls put the gap between them within the margin of error, making the vote one of the most unpredictable in recent years. Merkel, who has dominated German politics for 16 years as chancellor, had vowed to avoid the campaign for Sunday's election, but her CDU-CSU alliance has lost what was a comfortable lead in the polls and is now trailing just behind the Social Democrats, the junior partners in the current coalition government. Some 60.4 million Germans over the age of 18 are eligible to vote in Sunday's polls. Up next, action from the German Bundesliga. Stay tuned.
Kalau semua ejen dah pakai Iris, Mata perlukan saya lagi ke?
Semua rimau aku serang, aku masih boleh tendang. Kalau nampak jangan cengang, kalau kacau pendang kami nanti dengar gendang perang. Lepas lawan yang di sini lawan yang sebelah. Kita jaga kita.
Thanks for staying with us. Defending champions Bayern Munich stretched their lead at the top of the league standings to 3 points following a 3-1 victory away at Greuther Fürth in spite of Benjamin Pavard's second-half dismissal. For Benjamin Pavard was sent off for bringing down Greuther Fürth's Julian Green when he was through on goal in the 48th minute. Scoreline. With the win, the Bavarians stretched their lead at the top to 16 points, 3 points ahead of Wolfsburg in second, who still have a game in hand to play. And that's it for Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, we leave you with this amazing drone footage of a single house that has been left untouched by volcanic lava on the Spanish island of La Palma. It's understood that the lava has destroyed almost 400 buildings, including many homes on the western side of the island of 85,000 people. Take a look. I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe.